Hi, welcome to Your Time to Shine. Your hosts, Darlene and Julie, where your divine gifts are for us to help you explore, to help you empower you to find them. So Julie is moving this evening. So I have with us tonight my dear friend and co-host, Shauna Fisher. Shauna is an animal communicator, and the love she has for animals is just takes my breath away. So if anyone has calls or questions tonight about their pets, whether they're crossed over or still here, Shauna is your gal. And we'll give you info too throughout the show how you can reach Shauna if you'd like readings and help with your animals. So Shauna, welcome tonight.
Hi, good to be here. Woohoo! And I hope Julie's move goes well. That's super exciting. Yeah.
New chapter in her life.
Yeah.
So tonight, in honor of our guest, in honor of Shauna Fisher, we're going to talk about animals, especially our pets, and the messages that they have for us. The energy they are. They're not just pets, and they're not just living in our homes with us. And they have so much wisdom that they share. And Shauna communicates with them. So people who are wondering what's going on with their pets, whether there's a behavioral problem or an illness, Shauna can tap in and find out what's going on. Or if someone wants to hear from an animal, a pet that has crossed over, Shauna taps into that as well. So tonight, yes, we're talking about the wisdom that animals have for us. And not all cultures really, especially ours, honor what it is that animals give us. They're just starting to, though. The flight therapy dogs that we see after something happens, an event, and people take their therapy dogs to these places to help people to calm them down, relax them, and give them some space, for that unconditional love that pets offer. So Shauna, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into animal communication? It's not something that everybody can do. Well, they can, but how is it that you tapped into that?
Right. Well, it's really interesting. So I know it's a gift I've always had. And I had somebody that I have known that her and her partner had just got a new cat that they had rescued. And just out of the blue, I didn't even realize what I was doing. I started to describe the cat and the cat's personality and what the cat looked like. And she didn't really tell me any information about the cat. And she's like, "Whoa, how did you know that?" And I didn't have an explanation for it. And so she had asked me if I've ever thought about doing animal communication. So I started to look into all I could, and I read and I took classes, and I was like, wow, this explains a lot. I didn't realize, I always had the connection with animals, but I didn't put it all together until I was like, wow, okay, it's really cool. Because everybody has that ability. I mean, our animals are talking to us all the time. It's whether we're listening to that conversation, right? Because we tell them things, right? To sit, to stay, to this and that, but do we really realize that they're really listening and hearing us? And the more dialogue that we can really have with them, I think we sometimes don't realize, right? So even I'm guilty of it.
So let me ask you a question. When we talk to our animals and use those words,
mm-hmm.
Is it the words that they're understanding, or is it more our energy that they're reading, like body language?
You know what? It's really both, because, have you ever, kind of maybe you were going to tell your dog to stay, or you're getting ready to go for a walk, or one of their favorite things, something like that. And your dog, there's a sense that your dog knows that before you even have communicated to that. So they're so tapped into right here that they know our every thought, even before we know the thought. Isn't that crazy? It's my dog I have now, she blows me away. I love her to pieces, but she is just so in your face. And so she's like, come on, Shauna, And I'm just like, good Lord. She reminds me all the time of how tapped in they are. She's just little Miss Sass, but I love her.
My girls are so tapped in that how I know something might be going on with me that I'm not looking at. I look at my two dogs and what's going on for them. Are they acting anxious or nervous? Are they having trouble sleeping? And then I'll say, oh, what's going on in my life that I'm, trying to ignore or sweep under the rug? They are a reflection of what's happening in our own lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, because so something that's going on with them could be, like you said, a reflection of us. I remember my dog Luna, my lab I had for 12 years. She had this lick spot on her foot forever, and I didn't realize it was the anxiety I was having that would make that worse. And then when I reflected on that, and then of course I made some diet changes that really helped. It's amazing when we tap into that and like, what are they trying to teach us? What are they helping us with? Because sometimes they're helping us with stuff. They help and they take on things for us.
Right. So, yeah, definitely. So a couple things there are happening for people who are listening. If your dog, like Luna, has a licking problem or digestion, or the vet thinks that it's an allergy, what really helps me is when I first look at what's going on in my life. And when I make changes, it stops with the animal. And it's not something necessarily that needs, it's always a very good idea to go to the vet and, to double check and validate. But oftentimes they are, like you said, taking on our energy. So if they're feeling our anxiety, they'll be doing something on their bodies or in their bodies that is expressing that anxiety that they're feeling and taking on. And they try to take it away from us. So if we're really, really sick, they try to take our pain too. So when someone calls you and they have this information for you, and is it easy for you to say, oh, why don't you look, at your own life first? What's the technique that you use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the technique I use is usually when people contact me for a session, I tell them I don't want to know any information. So when they contact me, they send a picture of their pet, and then they just say that they want to do, a session, because I don't want to have the information, because I want to be able to pick it up from the animal. So what's cool is the information comes through, and the animals will often tell me, hey, I want my person to know this, or I'm doing this because, I want my person to give more time for themselves. I want my person to relax more. I want my person to spend more time in nature and spend more time for themselves. And that is like a big common thread that I see a lot from the animals. So it's the animals have a way of reflecting the message through them to their people, because sometimes people don't always want to listen to what we know is best for us, but if it's for our animals, we will do anything for our animals, right? So, but if it's for us, we don't always do it. So they have just this way of bringing this gentleness and this flavor of like, hey, of love, of hey, I'm helping you with this. And yeah, it's really awesome how it comes together. Yeah.
And definitely, my Millie, she's a 8-year-old Labradoodle, and she'll often have the symptoms of stress colitis, just like a human would. And I don't get into the gory details of what that looks like, but when that happens, I look at myself and I realize that there's something going on in my life that she's picking up on my anxiety around something. And it really helps to be aware of all of that in our lives so that our animals stay healthy, so they don't have the need to take on from us and to show us when something's going on.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to be aware of in your life, because everything we do, we say, even the things we're not doing and saying, our animals pick up on absolutely everything. They read our energy, and they're more to us than just, a pet in the home who needs to take walks and they do. Whenever we talk to them, they hear us, they see pictures. Oh, Shauna also teaches how to communicate with animals. And would you like to mention how when we have pictures in our heads?
Yeah, so that's really cool. That's a cool thing that you bring up. So the pictures we have in our heads, like if we're imagining something or we're stressed out about something, anything like that, the animals will pick up on that. And it's crazy how quick they pick up on that. So it could be you're going to go for a walk or you're like running late for work. I mean, I've had this happen sometimes where I'm running late from work and I'm like, okay, come on, cool up. I'm like, I gotta go. Like, let's, come on, hurry up. And the more I'm anxious about it, she's like, no, you know what? You can take your time. Let's just relax. Let's not put that energy of stress out there, because she picks up on that picture that I'm like, oh, I'm running late. I gotta go. So they always pick up on those pictures that we send. Sometimes, what is it? You see the thing on Facebook that you see a picture of somebody sitting with a dog and there's all these bubbles that the person has over their head. And it's like, why your dog is happier and it sees just grass and all this beautifulness, because that's all the animals are thinking about the now. They're not worried about, how am I going to get to Starbucks and how am I going to get dinner ready and how am I going to get this? They just know that everything is going to be perfectly aligned at the right time. So,
right.
Yeah.
What I do with my girls, my dogs, I don't say anything and I'll just in my mind picture where it is we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And without even saying anything, they get up, they look at me and they head towards the door. And they're already seeing where it is we're going without me even telling them, oh, we're going for a ride or we're going to the park. I just picture in my mind Lacey's favorite tree. And they see the pictures. We don't even have to use words to communicate with our animals. It's phenomenal.
It is. It's so phenomenal. Yeah.
And what they also show us is animal instinct and intuition. That comes natural, and they show us a capacity that humans have as well. So if we're animals, we have that capacity as well. So animals are such teachers in that realm. Thank you so much for sharing all that. So what is your favorite part about being an animal communicator?
Gosh, my favorite part is being able to make an impact for people and their animals. Just to see the impact that it makes and just to hear back from them the difference that it makes. Like, hey, you know what? This is kind of what you reflected from my animal and it made a huge difference and it helped. And being able to convey those messages. Probably one of my favorite sessions to do are the animal mediumship sessions where their animal has crossed over and being able to give them those messages and to hear back different things that I've picked up on that have happened after we've talked to them and after I've talked to them and had the session with them tuning into their pet. It's really amazing to see kind of the things that, happen and how the animals are always there giving us messages even after they've passed on.
That is so amazing. The animal, I can see too with people that their pets that are with them in spirit and how healing that is. That what you do, you offer that space for someone who has lost a pet.
Yeah.
There's something about connecting to that animal and that person having closure or knowing that pet's okay from wherever they are, that they crossed that rainbow bridge and they're there watching us. And
it's so huge to make that impact. Or if an animal is getting ready to transition, to kind of help to kind of be that conduit of this is what the animal is feeling right now. This is kind of what they want you to know. This is kind of what they would like. And it's just, being able to be that conduit and to be able to help with maybe a medical issue that they haven't been able to pick up on. So kind of tuning into, what I pick up on, and then they can take that back to their vet and say, hey, to kind of see what's going going on, because I never diagnose, but I just say, this is what I'm picking up on. So to be able to help with that is really cool too. So
you were able to do that with Lacey over last year. She was sick all last year, and you were able to say, after the vets took a test and said she did not have a bladder infection, when indeed she still had it. So Shauna is able to pick up on those little nuances that the vets sometimes often overlook if it's not showing up in the test results. So Lacey and I are very happy that you were able to, and luckily I have a vet who understands animal communication, and she was so grateful that somebody was able to see what was going on, because she was baffled with some of it was Lacey taking on, my stuff too. So I've learned to step back and not project on my girls.
Yeah, so it's not always easy. It's not always easy. I was happy to be able to help with that, because it's not always easy. I mean, here I am, the animal communicator, and I project sometimes, and I get the messages, from Cool Up, my dog now, and from Luna, my dog that passed away. She's like, come on, don't project. Even now, Luna's been passed almost a year, and she still sends me messages, when I need that wisdom from her. She still is always right there. It's always, yeah. Yeah.
So we have a caller. Are you ready to take you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Yes.
Melinda in Orlando, Florida. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you this evening?
I'm okay. I have a raspy voice from going swimming with my daughter, so sorry if my voice sounds a little out of it.
That's okay. How can Shauna and I help you tonight?
I was just wondering if maybe you guys can give me some insight, maybe what I should be coming into, or maybe coming up in the future, or what you guys see going on in my life currently.
Okay, I didn't know if Darlene's going to go. I see that, like, kind of I see like all these like little bumps. So I see like you're on this road, and there's these like this little bump and this little bump, and you're just kind of like going through all these divots, and it's about to clear kind of it's kind of like you're breaking ground for something new. And it's once you really pinpoint what it is that you're really wanting to do and really go for it, because I feel like you know what you want, but there's something that's holding you back, because you're like, is this really possible for me? But it really is possible. Does that make sense? It's just you're just like fine tuning it is what I pick up on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've just been a little stressed lately, and I'm taking it out on my partner is not making it any easier for him either.
What is it that you're looking for specifically?
I mean, probably marriage and a career, and also wanting to be there for my daughter, being a stay-at-home mom as long as I can, but also, coming out of that situation. At what point am I going to come out of that situation to have to go back into work? And
right.
Yeah.
So do you have ideas about what that work or career might look like?
No, not really. Not at the moment. I used to work in retail and used to do sales, and I was top of my game, but my daughter's 2 now, which means I'm out of the game for 2 years. So, but yeah. I'm not stressing to go back to work as soon as possible, because we're doing okay, but it does put a lot of stress on my partner, and it makes you feel bad. I hear
that. So think about the things that you enjoy doing. And sometimes when we pinpoint what we enjoy, what lights us up, you then can see a broad range of possibilities in the way of making an income. And it doesn't have to be a job or a career. It's interesting what it is that can bring us money when we start looking at what brings us joy. So is there anything specific that you enjoy doing?
Well, I'm not really quite sure. I enjoy doing a lot of things, but it just really depends. I'm kind of in a mixed loop right now with my emotions, and it's hard for me to pinpoint it right now.
Mm-hmm. Just keep that in mind. Like, keep asking that question. What are some things that really light me up? Like not just enjoy, but really like when you think about it, if it's, being with your daughter, something about that connection with, a parent and a child. And when you start just putting little pieces of the puzzle together out of something that you couldn't imagine could turn into a career, just keep I see you keeping a journal and drawing pictures, or circles with words in them, almost like balloons.
Yeah, it's kind of weird you're saying that, because I was thinking about that. I think last week I was actually thinking, man, I really need to start keeping a journal. I just thought that was weird that you said that. And, my fiance and I, we were coming into a situation with our daughter where, we're unsure. She's not speaking right now, and we think she's fine, but her doctor says that they're concerned about it. So it's a lot of stress on both of us right now. And, I react out of anger towards my partner. Yeah. And it's just stress, and if you guys are mothers, I'm sure you understand. And I'm a first-time mom. This is my first child.
So, keep that sounds like a very important focus right now. Mm-hmm. And be an advocate for her. If you truly feel and believe there's nothing wrong, just keep asking yourself and tuning into your body when, if someone suggests that there's something happening. Moms know best. And we have a really interesting, funny culture that there's certain behaviors that are supposed to come with milestones. Not all children fit those. So just whenever, I'm a child development specialist, so this has been coming up in the last 20 years. It's amazing. So I'm just going to mention this to be a very, very confident, consistent, persistent advocate for her. So if someone suggests something you don't feel is true for you, stand up for it or research it or look at all of the different options, okay?
Yeah, that's what we're looking into, the other options. Do you guys see something around that, around that topic, without me having to go into deep discussion about it?
She's 2, did you say?
What? I'm sorry?
She's 2 years old, did you say?
Yes.
How is it? What's her main way to communicate at this point?
She says standard words, mama, dada. She's communicating, but she's babbling. And she's not holding a full conversation, and apparently most 2-year-olds are supposed to be doing that. So
keep in mind, be really vigilant when you are spending time with her when she's playing. If you notice that she has a unique way of communicating.
Correct, which I notice.
Yeah. So it isn't always the language of words. So just watch her playing, and that maybe is what you can also journal on, taking note as far as how you see and find her working with you. Children have special capacities that are often overlooked. So you can keep asking yourself, let's take notice of all this, her uniqueness. Keeping that in mind, that each child is so different and they have capacities that sometimes doctors look at as something else because they don't fit into the norm. I can tell you as a classroom teacher, there are really not too many norms anymore. As a parent, just be aware of what her differences are. Not differences, her uniquenesses, what her special capacities are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that could be something you could work with other parents with too. So maybe that's part of what you're going to be doing. You never know, right? Just do with what makes you come alive, and just trust your gut with what you know for your daughter, because you and your fiance know.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving me a reading tonight.
Oh, it was our pleasure, Melinda. Good luck with that. Call back if you have any questions, or go to, you can go to our Facebook page, Your Time to Shine, if you have any more questions. I'd love to keep in touch with you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
The kids and their gifts, we got to keep them shining. Okay?
Definitely.
Yeah, our culture has a tendency to not do that. So keep in touch, please.
We will. Thank you.
Thanks, Melinda. So we are winding down tonight. Shauna, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your gifts. And can you give an address where people can reach you if they're interested in communicating with their animals or having a reading?
Yes, thank you so much for having me too. It was wonderful. It's my website. It's natureskeeper.info. And then I have a Facebook page. It's nature_S keeper. So there you go. You can find me on there. And I believe it's on your Facebook page, Your Time to Shine. The link for my website is on there as well. So thank you for that as well.
Wonderful. And Julie and I have a new website up, yourintuitivementors.com. If you would like to go to that and find out what it is that Julie and I do, you can do that as well. And we'll put Shauna's information on our everywhere, so you can reach out for an animal reading. Any questions you have about your animals or animals that have passed. So thank you again for tuning in, and see you next week, and have a wonderful night.